Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session of the Thriving Families Africa Summit. And today we are exploring an area that, my goodness, parents. When I ask parents your top three, it's almost screen time, screen time, screen time, and then now we start talking mental health and all these other things. Because we are the digital, what are we? Digital, we are not natives, we are the other ones.
What are
Our
we?
generation, digital immigrants, eh? We are the
Yeah,
immigrants.
we are immigrants and
Yes.
dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, exactly. Yeah. And so for us to have this conversation well, there is no better person than Evelyn Kasina, who is the founder of Eve Minette, and she is a leading voice in the space of digital parenting with very practical, very sound, very sober tips that she has for parents. And I'm so glad you were able to join us today, Evelyn.
Asante sana for having me. And just hopefully by the end of the conversation, people will have learned just maybe one or two things they can go and practically do at home that will probably transform how they're raising their children.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And that's exactly why we are here and why we are doing this summit, so that we
Yeah.
can give people actual practical takeaways and
Yeah.
not just a
Yeah.
random conversation. So let's start with
Yeah.
what it is that you do and how you got to what you're doing right now.
Wonderful and very interesting. So I was raised in a military barracks, but I didn't know how that past of mine was significant to how I live my life to date because I lived in a space that was security for me was a guarantee because I lived in a barracks. Um, we didn't have this fuss of closing doors or just feeling unsafe, until way when I was like young adult after high school. When we left, my father, of course, retired from the military. Then when we went out, and I'd cringe when people are behaving in a certain way because I felt like I was in a bubble.
Hmm.
And when I was even choosing my career, because I did my first degree was in cybersecurity, it was all about just securing spaces because I'm feeling okay, fine. People are maybe mismanaging their employer's time. They need to cut off the social media because when Facebook became one of the first social media platforms we started interacting with, there was a lot of Candy Crush. But that was not the excitement. The excitement was Karo Chakwa was your schoolmate for like 15 years ago, so you're reconnecting. I don't have to see you, but we're reconnecting with somebody I didn't see for ages. And you would end up spending the whole day doing absolutely nothing but reconnecting with people. And when you're not reconnecting, you're playing Candy Crush. So I felt that was a space that was very confusing. It was exciting but confusing. But when I became a mother, at a very young age, and my son would go on YouTube to just watch like Tom and Jerry and stuff like that, there were these pop-ups that would come up. So of course, because I'm a techie, I knew how to either block them, circumvent them. I would put security because I was doing security anywhere and around the house. But as he was growing up, he has to go to school. So there's somebody else in school with gadgets or something. They're going to the playground, they're going for a play date. So I feel like I'm not in control of this space. It's not mine, but I'm not in control of this space. So I started changing, just having conversations with a group of friends, with parents, and telling them, oh, you can do this on this platform. There's Google, there's a link that you can do this. And people are very interested. But that was so unstructured. So when I started feeling like I need to do business, I would get into these networking spaces and I find people who are flourishing in business. So they have a strategy. And I'm like, okay, pick one thing, pick one thing. And I just started creating just awareness, teaching, and getting little money here and there. Where I go, I create some topic, I train about it, I talk people are interested. People are interested, and unbeknown to me, one of my somebody from a Kenyan who doesn't live here though from Meta approached me. They talked to me, and they told me that there's this thing they can do. Of course, now because I have this. One of the driving forces I have is like setting my muji to masana. So I sent myself, started reading, and when they were telling me what I need to be doing, I'm like, I have a voice, I have a platform, and I can do this. So it's like I'm shooting in the dark, but I was not shooting in the dark. I had an audience, people were listening, and I realized that almost every parent just wants safety. So that's when I started doing the family safety because I was already doing corporate safety.
Mm.
So when I shifted, it needed a business, it needed structure. So I opened an office in my house and I surprised my husband one day and I told him I've quit work, so I'm going to do this business. He was upset, but it was fine. I have a small baby. But it was fun. It was fun and hard. And I think it is okay because you learn through that hardness.
Right.
But I think as I was doing the safety, it was more of let me go and create a firewall for somebody, install, train. But then I realized it's more than the training because some things that ideally would affect our children are not those technical skills. And not every parent, is a technical parent. So I
Mm.
felt as I was learning, I needed to keep also upskilling, updating myself. So I did a second degree in education
Mm.
so that I can match IT and tech, so that my business is in ed tech. How can I create curriculums that make sense?
Mm.
How is it going to be sustainable? And then how can I roll it out into bigger spaces so that also more people are being reached? And that's how I found myself here, where I'm doing work across the country, across the African
Continent.
continent.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was just the business of let me not do the hardware stuff. Let me go into the core of what family is. And we've always been told the government will not teach your children manners. The schools will try and enhance that, but they have so many people that they're taking care of with different needs, with different backgrounds. But at the core of every child is the home. So the people at home should be the ones who first understand that this is my role. I might not really know what security HTTPS means, but I know how to lock the door. I know the importance of putting passwords. I know the importance of telling my child, don't take photos when you have your school uniform on, because it gives away something that you might not take back. Those are the small conversations. Nobody will teach a child about integrity. It comes from home, but you're not going to tell it to them. You're going to show it. You can't tell it. Things around values, you have to demonstrate some things at home. And I felt like that is the space I really, really wanted to sit in. And then once the home is secure, because if I come and meet you in the marketplace, you came from a home. So yes, I will still take your heart from home, but you will extend the spaces you are in your marketplace for me to extend what I'm training. For instance, in schools, for instance, in government, because we also have to align with the policies of the government. Law does not take a minute to change. Maybe we can create best practices and we can help people in government to push that. And so that is where I landed. So what EveMinet does really, we focus on the children. Like primarily our core is the child. But because the child doesn't live in a vacuum, we have to look at, so when they're home, this is the person I'm dealing with. When they're in school, what is the structure of school and how can we bring these soft skills in school so that we enhance how they're surviving in school. We also have to look at where they're playing. And right now, it is hybrid, because even if they're outside kicking a ball, there's probably a phone there that is playing Roblox, Fortnite, GTA. So we have to also help them understand you might be here physically, but when you get online, you're in a space without boundaries. And in this space, you're interacting with people, you are talking, you're making friends, you're losing friends. How do you deal with these things? Then, of course, where we can, we do engage government and big tech companies. And I'm happy that within the space, I work with Google, TikTok, Meta, and Huawei in terms of being their safety partner within the sub-Saharan Africa region. So I'm happy for that bit of the business.
Yeah. I mean, starting from the family unit, looking at government and even just how to shape policy, and then now working with such big partners to be able to take care of the safety of the child. That's amazing work, and really, really celebrate you for the work that you're doing,
Thank you.
not just for
for
the country, but even for the continent of Africa, So, again, back to screen time. What do we do? These kids are always on the screen. And it's not just about, sometimes we get stressed around how much time they're spending, but we don't really think about the safety issues. Right now, we just want to preoccupy them and make sure that they don't stay so much online. But then there's also other things. And I know there are a lot of myths and a lot of misconceptions around technology that parents have believed and really get into the way of having a healthy relationship in that space. What are some of these myths?
So first and foremost, I always try and understand when people say, I'm worried about screen time.
Yeah.
Are you really worried about the time aspect that your child is spending or what they're consuming? Because those are two totally different conversations.
Okay.
You could be on TikTok learning. You could, and especially like on TikTok, let me emphasize on it, there is a STEM feature that is available in our market.
Yeah.
But you could be on TikTok as well, from scrolling challenges and news, all those things. Like you're really just there, pushing time. You could also be online creating content. Again, totally different conversations. So sometimes I want parents to zen, to just breathe fast. I know you're worried that your children are spending time. The time aspect might not really be your biggest concern as opposed to the content aspect. And this is what I always say, because when you start talking to them, you'll be like, no, when I don't know what they're doing, I'm worried. But why don't you know what they're doing? Can't you talk to them? Can't you ask them? Can't you get interested in what they're interested in? Because that's the only way you will get to know. If I'm playing Roblox, I really don't know what this is, but if I sit with you, you explain to me, you show me, or I see you doing it, I'll start having an idea of what you're doing. And so I always want to tell parents, just relax really relax around the screen time issue. Start getting interested in what they're doing behind those screens, because that is where your time should be spent. Right. Then now, start understanding how the time works. Again, the heart of the home. When you wake up in the morning, getting on your phone should not be the first instinct. But who gets on their phones immediately they wake up? We use our phones like alarm clocks.
Yeah.
And I think that has become an excuse that I was snoozing, I was doing. Okay, fine, you wake up, your feet have not even touched the ground. you're on WhatsApp, you're on TikTok, you're on, you just scrolling. Already, you can find you've spent 10, 15 minutes. You've not even said good morning to anybody in your house. Your feet have not touched the ground. You've not felt air, but you've already engaged your gadget. So if that is the parent you are, imagine when you wake up in the morning on a Saturday like today, and you find your children, they've not done anything. In fact, they're waiting for you to make breakfast, and they've sat and they're watching cartoon. That's screen time, right? So you can see there's a disparity, but there's a similarity. Because even me, I was not on the TV, but I was behind a screen. They might not have those screens you have, but they went to the big screen, they opened, they started watching cartoon. That is not mindfulness. And so again, I bring that soft skill of mindfulness, because when you think about screen time, at home, it should be, can we agree what needs to be done before we engage our screens, right? Wake up in the morning, have your breakfast, do your chores, because kids need to learn these things. They need to learn the independence of living. Get out of your PJs, put on your regular clothes. If you had homework, prioritize your homework, do your homework, so that if they're going to sit on their screens, then ask them, but were you planning to do something productive, like maybe coding, being on Pinterest, creating something, so that if they have to mindlessly scroll on YouTube, TikTok, or watch Netflix, it can be towards the end of the day. Can we also agree that in between these spaces, you can go outside, get a sunburn, pick a ball, talk to somebody, have a human-to-human, touch the grass for God's sake, look at the sun, let's have a balance where there's something else that is in between your screen time. So that at least now you're having a conversation. Yes, they want to be, you've not said no, you're just saying, can we have a structured way? And it doesn't have to be structured. Ikifika saa sita, toka, fanya, you have to be a little more understanding, because sometimes the weather is not favorable. Sometimes they're playing, they're so into the game, you'll be like, okay, finish what you're doing, then maybe you can go into the next activity. So when parents are getting stressed about screens, you just answer the question by saying, we want to preoccupy them. And I always keep saying, your child's boredom is not your business. And by the way, they need to be bored, because when they are bored, they will become creative. By the way, that is how creativity is born. You have to be bored and then start figuring out, how can these two sticks create something? And somehow they will create something. So parents need to stop feeling that they need to preoccupy their children's lives with everything. But instead of worrying about the time children are spending, be interested in what they're doing behind those screens. And that conversation will completely shift. And that's really, again, one of the things that I would really hope out of this conversation we're having, parents would learn to do.
To be able to get to be a little bit more interested in what they are doing. And I know sometimes I have clients, teenage clients who come to me and they're like, my parents are just completely off when it comes, they just go off when it comes to screen, and they go off in reactivity mode, these things will kill you, they say things like that in all those conversations. And I know that it's important for there to be trust when it comes to having this to dealing with screen time and the safety issues around that. How can parents build that trust, really?
I saw that in the debrief, and I said I'm going to couple it with integrity, because trust goes hand in hand with integrity. Those are the things that, again, have to be taught at home. Please note, the world will not teach your children. It will give them the consequences of the lack of those things. Trust, and I know for parents it's hard, when they feel like, I'm giving you this thing and I've had all these stories. The way you keep hearing, you watch the news, you hear somebody was doing this happened. And I think we all react towards the unfavorable things, the calamities, the bad things.
Yeah, that's how we are wired.
Yes, I mean, we're just, and then we're like on panic mode. We're like, sasa nikikupatia hii when which is a Roblox, si nini inaweza kukufanyikia,
Yeah.
But then you don't, and I feel like sometimes we feel helpless that, can't I then talk to you about the things that concern me? That I know you will go into this space, but these are my concerns. So how can we meet in the middle? How can we create a balance? Or what can we do so that we try and ensure this doesn't happen? Because yanking the phone away, kuzima internet, kuambia wasikwe, that is really not a solution. We know that by now. So trust would be, as a parent, do your bit. Do your bit. And what is your bit? You are having a conversation with your children that first phones, laptops, and all these things, they're privileges, right? Are we in agreement that they're privileges?
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think what the government ensures us to do is we have food, shelter, and what? Food, shelter, clothing. There's something else. Internet is not part of it. As much as people keep saying it isn't. But when you're giving them these privileges, it comes with a responsibility. So your bit is giving the child the responsibility. So you want to give them this so that they can demonstrate that, have integrity, have self-control. Because again, these things something has to happen for your child to demonstrate integrity. You have to put them in a position where they have to lie so that you see whether they lie or not. You have to push them into situations where if they've broken friendships, you let them first see. You have to let yourself see how would they deal with this situation before I immerse myself into it. And I know some of those things are very difficult. But with trust, if you don't give them the trust that I'm giving you this phone, I'm allowing you to be on TikTok, I'm allowing you to be on Instagram. How else do you know that they're capable of maneuvering that space? You have to allow yourself. And allowing yourself means that you know something is possibly going to be wrong, but also know that something is possibly going to be right,
Right.
right? Like, I think we always think of the negative things. Just imagine if your child struggles with attention and they go to TikTok on the STEM feature and they learn how to do physics. Because I've seen a lot of educators trying to just do those very short, nice videos of small things that they're doing in class. And your child is interested in, like, this STEM thing. I wanted to do this on VR. They're learning. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So trust that the things that you're telling them behind the scenes, which most of us don't see, where the tears, the blood, and sweat comes, that, you know, when something happens to your child and they find themselves in a space where somebody's being bullied or somebody's making them feel uncomfortable, they'll come and tell you, but then, you know, mom, there was this situation that happened, and you have a conversation. That means you're creating a conducive environment where your child feels safe to come and tell you, as opposed to looking for other people. That is an opportunity. And it's because you trusted them. Giving them integrity. And I keep telling most parents, if you feel like your child doesn't listen, let me throw some hints here. You tell them that your screen time is between 6 and 7, and you know they're playing, and you're not even there. Of course, there are ways you can find out if they extended the time, but allow them to be like at 7:55. If they really, really wanted to play an extra 10 minutes, and they come and ask you, Mommy, but this will extend your 10 minutes. You get to tell me that's integrity, because they know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So without breathing, and I think you're the one who taught me this thing of just breathe. Breathe fast, breathe.
Yeah.
When you breathe, you're able to understand. There's something else with trust that I keep saying: seek to understand to be understood. I know for parents, you don't want to be the person who is always hearing, you know your child, you know your child, you know your child, yeah. And it's all the negative things. When you seek to understand, the playground for children has completely changed. They won't understand where your concerns are. Because right now, and I tell parents with a lot of love, there is nowhere you will say stranger danger. Usichukue switi kutoka kwa mtu haujui. The danger that children are facing online is not coming from strangers. They're being groomed by somebody, and this person's intention is to make sure they have captured your child's, become your child's friend. So by the time they're causing injury, that child cannot say that that was a stranger. I know Carol. We used to play with Carol on Roblox. I even, there's stories above stories above. So that is not a stranger. So that playground has completely changed. So when we don't seek to understand so that they can understand our concerns and our fears, already that is a gap. And that is where all these perpetrators come in, Carol, because what would happen is when, and I've seen this a lot, when somebody's child is busy typing, and our bots, right now we're using a lot of bots to take notes and to do all these kind of things. A bot realizes that what you're spewing is a lot of negativity. People are taking this data and trying to see, how can I capture this child? They seem to be off on something. They seem to need this. Can I fill this space so that I can take advantage of them? And at that point, your teenage child needs somebody to listen to. Because maybe when they talk to you, you're either on your gadgets, or you don't have the time, or you're telling them, let's talk tomorrow. Every day there's something, there's an excuse. And what they want is really for somebody to just listen to them for 5 minutes, for 2 minutes. They want to talk to somebody. When they can't get that in a space they feel love, they will look for it somewhere else. And that is a dangerous thing. So again, that trust has to be built in a conducive environment. And I'm not saying give your children what they want. Of course, that is not the point. Create a conducive environment where changing language would seem like this. Mommy, can I have a PS5 game? I'm like, I'm not saying no, I'm saying not now. So that if not now, maybe you're a candidate. Like, my son wanted to be on social media, and I told him, after your checkpoint exam, then you can get onto social media, because I don't want that bit to be a distraction to him. I did not say no. I said not now. There's an element of time, but there's also a reason behind it. So I feel like even when you're giving them these trust elements, and it comes both ways, it has to have a reason. Your child wants something, instead of you just saying, no, it's because I said so, you're living in my house. Those things have to change. Those two words have to change. If it is a yes, but it is not a tentative yes that is yes now, follow it up with, can we do this and this and this and this before we do that? That means you actually want to get to the level where your child understands why you said a certain thing, and then they understand why you have made that decision. There is consensus, right? Then now teach them the integrity, because we know we are not always with them. When times come and people are like, but you can hide these things from your parents. And this is again something else that when we are being overly strict, they start thinking boundaries you can cross. We push the boundaries with our parents all the time when we were young. But the danger, when we were young, nobody was keeping our data. Like the way things right now, everything is data. So they will start looking for, somebody will tell your child, but your mom doesn't need to know. You can go and install, there's an app called Not Gonna Lie that you can install in your main apps and become anonymous and do things that your parents will not know. They'll be told how to install Vault. Your mom checks your phone all the time. Let me show you how to hide things here. They create a vault, that they download a vault that looks like a calculator. Unbeknown to you, it is a calculator. For them, it is not. They keep putting all those things that you don't want them to do. again, there's an issue of integrity, right? So when you have spaces of listening to your children, and I think this is something parents need to listen and learn, like learn to listen, like breathe. You don't need to keep interrupting when they're talking. You don't need to know it all because you really don't know it all. Seek to understand so that they can understand you, but listen. Listen and listen and listen so that you capture as much data as you can. When you're giving them your idea, which also, if you feel like, hey, you can breathe, say, can we, okay, I've had you, can you give me 10 minutes to just breathe? And then we can resume to this conversation. Then you can give them your side of the story. It's a little difficult with teenagers because teenagers can rebuttal, but the younger ones, it's easy. And that's why I always keep saying the earlier you start, the better. Not that where you are, it is wrong to start, but the earlier you start, the better. I feel like when I taught my children tool of pre-screening content, way before COVID, when COVID came is when I saw the benefit of that because they would not watch anything without pre-screening. Outside, they would keep telling their friends, let's first go to put it on common sense media. We see the age, or we see if it has bad characters or something. And that has become a thing that they've practiced. It's because I taught them early. If I was to teach them now, I would keep singing it like a broken record. So wherever it is you are, seek to understand to be understood and learn to listen, not to respond, to understand. So that now when you decide you're going to trust your child with something, you're giving them an opportunity so that they can show you something back. And this is something else I've also learned out of interacting with children and parents. I think even if something really horrible happens to your child and they come to you, that's a win. I believe that's a huge win.
And you
like they came back to you
say that
and they said,
again.
Mommy,
Say that
yes.
again very slowly.
So,
Yeah.
yes. If something happens to your child, physically or online, and they have the guts and the trust to come to you, they will tell you, Mom, I fumbled. Dad, I fumbled. This is what happened. This is what I did. This was my participation. If they come back to you, that is a win.
It's a big
The situation might not be favorable, but that is a huge win. Why? They came to you. You're the one with their best interest at heart. They did not think, let me circumvent my parents, go to who and who. Let me not go to my friends. Because I always tell them, when you go to your friends, they'll tell you what another friend will tell them. They don't have the benefit of experience or time. But if they come to you with whatever issue, go cry in the bathroom, but go thank God that they came to you. Yeah.
I think
yes.
how you react is the key to whether or not, first of all, they can think about coming to you. And number two, if they'll say, well, it will determine whether they will make the decision to ever come to you. Yes.
I hear you. Yes.
And then, so
very
I think
important.
Underlying all this, really, I mean, we are talking about digital conversations, screen time, but underlying all this is relationships. It's just so ironical.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so ironical that the things we are talking about are the gadgets, the robots, the AI, and all that. But really, the real deal here at the core of everything is how we are reacting, how we are showing up, and relationships. So give parents whatever, just do the whole spiel. Like, how do we
breathe?
Yes, breathe. And then what else? What are some of the many things that as you're working with parents out there, the strategies you're giving them? What are some of these things that you're doing with them to support in that space?
So again, something else you taught me that I feel I keep seeing it in spaces is dropping guilt. And dropping guilt here, especially when it comes to discipline, because sometimes we will feel like before, like there are times we feel like we give a lot, like we are overly permissive, right? And then when we're in that space of being overly permissive, something horrible happens. Like your child is being bullied, your child does something that you feel like is so questionable. In your head, you're like, what were you thinking when you were doing that? Sometimes not even in your head, you say it out, and sometimes when you say out things, that's what sticks. Dropping the guilt would mean I didn't know this last year, this year, but now we are here creating a conference which has knowledge. And I have now newfound knowledge that I can apply to see if I can avert or change a situation. So drop the guilt because then you didn't know. And now that you know, you can do things better. It is called the benefit of information. It's called the benefit of knowing. Two is when the skills that I have found that we need to learn. This is parents now. But we need to unlearn how to stop being dismissive. And being dismissive, sometimes we don't know when we're doing it, but it's just shrugging your shoulder, rolling your eye. When your child is telling you something looking very uninterested, that is dismissiveness. And those are cues, they pick.
Yeah. Or
you're talking to
interrupting them as they're trying.
Thank you. Yes. Or overly also giving them solutions, because if I were you, I would have. There's a bingo game we play in our when we start sessions in my office, where we want to break ice and make people laugh, because sometimes people feel tense when we are going to teach them about safety because they feel like we are going to scare them. So we in the bingo questions, there's that. Do you normally have non-verbal cues that make people feel you're not interested, just shaking your head, those things that teenagers do, but we also do them. Like
Yeah.
somebody's talking and then you're just like this,
Yeah.
like finish, bam, just finish.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one common one, and I know you do it. I know, even me, I find it. You're having this conversation with your kids, and then you say, back in the day, hey, it's a
Mm.
hot. Back in the day.
Good
This
day.
one I do it when I tell my children, so you pause that thing, you go to the bathroom. Because
Mm.
you will come and find it there. Like, if you leave a movie halfway, you go to school for a week. When you come back, you can rewind it, you can forward it, you can watch it 10 times. Back in the day, that back in the day thing,
Yeah.
that one.
Mm.
We need to change the way we communicate. Why is it important? There's a huge fact that generations, like, the way we keep saying Gen Z, Gen Alphas, Gen X, Millennials, Boomers, I'm not saying we're going to categorize ourselves like that, but the way we were brought up, there were different cues. I don't know if you know the way your mom would look at you with a certain eye and you comply.
Yeah.
Like,
No words
compliance
needed.
immediate.
Yeah.
My friend calls it a dead fish look. There's a dead fish look that by the ukiona too, when you start seeing certain things moving in a certain way, sufurias na gonga gonga, you're like, hey, somebody's upset. Let me not say anything. If the Gen Zs of our age, current Gen Zs, whom I think we are the ones who are raising Gen Zs, have taught us anything, is they are breaking all these norms. They're breaking. It's communication, it's how they read, it's how they do things. So I feel we are the ones who have to learn what is in their space.
Mm. Mm. Froze a little. We'll wait for you to come back.
Carol? Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
I had frozen. Oh,
Sure.
sorry. Let
So,
me repeat.
yeah.
So I was saying Gen Zs are changing how we communicate, how we listen, because it's like they're rebelling towards everything,
They're
right?
pushing, yeah, they're
So
pushing against, yeah.
yeah, so I feel we have to come to their level because they can't think like us. See, we have our own different traumas, we have our own different wounds, we
Mm.
have our issues we are dealing with. So part of changing how we communicate would be, instead of me asking you, Carol, how was your day? I'd be intentional to ask you, did you have any struggles today? So that maybe it was one or two things.
Mm.
And you would
Mm. Again, there's some glitching.
and then maybe at either that time, is it? Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
I'm wondering what is happening. Hang on, just pause the recording. I check if somebody is using, and then
We'll edit, don't worry. Oh my goodness, you've frozen again, my friend.
yes, yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you were talking about how to engage
Yes,
them.
how to engage differently because
Mm.
I know we do engage. Just
Mm.
being a little different and being a little intentional about how we ask questions.
Mm.
Whom did you sit next to at lunchtime? What are
Yeah.
you talking about? How
Mm.
are your friendships? And especially with preteens, but also teenagers, a lot is happening where people are getting to know each other. When people put boundaries, you start feeling. So some of the things that I'm always telling parents when you're being interested in what your children are interested in, ask them about their friends.
Mm.
Why did you stop talking to so and so? Are you making new friends? Where did you meet them? What are the kind of things you're talking about? So that you get your children to talk because sometimes also teenagers just don't want to be talkative because
Yeah.
of what is going on.
Yeah.
But in the sense of don't be how is this, how is that, and it's dismissive and all.
Or
I
an
always
interrogation.
or an interrogation. And then of course, please don't start saying, back in the day, it's not back in the day anymore, please. It's not. Today is today. I always also use the roses, stones, and bars to teach in class, where as opposed to always having conversations with your children when you feel they've done something wrong, surprise them and have a conversation when they've done amazing things. Like, they pass an exam, or somebody just woke up, got inspired by a recipe they saw on Pinterest, they cooked.
Mm.
Surprise them but even when you do it now, they'll start feeling like, what's happening? But surprise them when things are like they're working, when there is peace, when there's laughter, when there's not every time you're just calling for meetings when now you want to avert a crisis or to mitigate something. Again, with siblings and with friends, allow your children to learn how to have conflict resolution.
Mm.
Don't always bring yourself in it. If I were you, I would have. You're not them.
Mm.
Why do I keep saying this? Because even when they're playing online, and I always see my kids doing that, and they're having a tiff with somebody, they'll be like, but this person is giving us hell. So we just block and report them, because you have that autonomy to remove them from your game and continue playing because they're not being, you've told them and you've told them and you've told them. So I think with parents, technology is a tool. And I will use another example of the knife in your kitchen. Your knife in your kitchen is a tool. Without it, you probably will not have a meal. But in the hands of a bad actor, that tool can become a weapon. So some of the things we are saying here is there's so many underlying things that you have to do at home, cultivate the relationship. Where it is broken, fix it. It might not return to where it was, but you may fix it and make it better. So stop thinking of, I want to stop the bleeding. Where there's a bleeding, stop the bleeding. But if there's a wound inside, clean it. That is messy. It is painful. When your children are growing, they will question you. They will choose you. But if you're seated in this conference and you're trying to listen to something, I always tell parents as well, part of trust is demonstrating it. Do I trust myself? But do I trust you? When I say you guys are overly on your phones a lot, what about yourself?
Yeah.
You make rules in your house. You don't want to follow them, but you expect everybody else to follow because you say so. If you're dealing with Gen Zs, but mostly if you have Gen Alphas in your house, you will have a hell on earth because they will question you, they will point it out, they will say it the way, they will be literally your mirror, and it will not be a fun thing to do. So as we are cultivating all these things, as you said, it is the relationship. How are we showing up? Sometimes if you just feel overwhelmed, take time off. Me, there are times I just go off for a weekend out and I'm like, I just need a break from being mommy because mommy needs to rejuvenate. You know the way you have dead cells and you want to have new cells? It's fine, have them. You can also tell your children, allow me to go sleep. Allow me. If you can take them somewhere where you just want them to go play and you trust that person so that you can zen, it's okay. If you need to have a strategy, do an inventory. In some of my classes, Carol, I tell parents, because again, the way I was saying, overly permissive, giving. There are times you give and then you feel, I'm overwhelmed. Kuna laptop, kuna TV, kuna simu, kuna hii, kuna hii. You have too many things in your house you don't know how to manage because it's becoming a big problem. Do an inventory and ask, okay, so how many gadgets does Carol have? How many gadgets does Evelyn have? How many do you need? What are you doing in these gadgets? So that if you can say, we reduce this during school time, over the holiday, we can use this, or maybe we can, there's a structure you can create, but first do an inventory and find out what is necessary, what is not necessary. Don't bundle your children as one. All your children are independent, they're sovereign, they have different likes and needs. So take a child at a time, because also as they're growing, they're experiencing things differently. So don't bundle some things together. You can have general rules, but if it is a child at a time, try and take it out at a time. I'm going to give you many tools, but all these tools have got nothing to do with tech, by the way.
I know, right? And I think that's a biggest point here, because we think there is magic to this, maybe there is technique to it. So give us those everyday tips, because that's what we need. Yeah.
So when you're doing meetings, I'll give you the rose, thorns, and buds. So how roses, thorns, and buds work? When you have a rose, smells really nice. The petals are beautiful. They're the ones that bring us the flavors and everything. You can use the petals to affirm, appreciate, thank, all the positive things that you really want to say. You can make the family meeting as not formal. Just make it as informal as possible. At dinner, at a movie, whatever. But go around the house giving everybody a petal. Carol, I'm giving you a petal. Thank you. I saw you helped your brother in the morning. Carol, or no, you go to the next person, Natasha. Thank you for clearing the table. Because some of these things, they think they're doing it's routine, but you're appreciating, you're affirming, you're doing, right? But because a rose has thorns, and when a thorn pricks you, you feel pain, I'll come and say, Natasha, yesterday, so that you are being spicy in your conversation. I'm not trying to say you are being upset. You are being spicy in your conversation. Is there something that is going on? If there is not, I thorn you, you talked to me badly. Somebody left their sock somewhere and it was irritating you. You thorn them. But in that space, you're telling each other, in a good way, of course, but I keep telling mummies, this is where you'll be thorned a lot. Mummies get a lot of thorns.
Oh my gosh,
you made a promise that you did not keep. And it's all these things. You say you're going to pick me, you said you're going to do this, you didn't do, because now you've given them an open platform to say all these things. Please take it as feedback. Take it as feedback. Then what they're telling you in the thorns, when a bud is nurtured, it becomes a petal. So the bud is the things that I will do to change from the feedback I've been given, especially with the thorns. So, mommy, you keep interrupting me when I'm talking. I will say from today, I'll allow you to finish talking. I will listen and I will not interrupt. And it is something that I promise to work on, not promise to change. I will work on it. Every time you see I'm trying to interrupt you as you're talking, please tell me, let me finish. Let me finish. You get? So you're helping them see that also behavior change it's not a light bulb. It's a process. But at least you've given your family an opportunity first to give you good feedback, to give you the things that they don't like. And then in that space, you're giving them an area to improve. That is the roses and buds. I love using it, especially when you're trying to do meetings, but you're not just bringing meetings when things are not happening well, because your family is not always on crisis mode. Number two is trying to understand people's, not really personalities, but love language, because personalities keep changing. But a love language would be if your child loves quality time and there's a space where you need to really connect with them, look for the thing they love to do, spend quality time with them. If they love acts of affirmation, if they love, so it's acts of affirmation, quality time, gifts. There's another one
Service,
there.
acts of service, what?
Service, acts of service.
Physical,
Yes.
I think.
Physical touch. Yes, yes. And I think that for physical touch, as they keep growing, learn boundaries,
Probably one
because
less. Yes.
yes, but still, try and meet your children at the point where they feel loved. Because when you're telling them something and you're spending time with them in the kitchen because they love to cook and you're having conversations here and there, you're bringing up a conversation, you're telling them, but then, the other day I saw you struggling with a friend of yours, you seem to be having an argument. You're doing something productive that she loves. You're meeting them at a point where they love and you're having a conversation. And again, as I said earlier, let's try and stop being dismissive and overly giving them solutions to their problems. Yeah. So that is another tool I really find very powerful, because again, you're meeting each child. It is Carol who's struggling, it's Evelyn who is, and let your children give you feedback. Not everything you do, they feel good. Because I know sometimes in class, when I ask kids, what is the one or two things you'd want me to tell your parents? It's almost common. They don't listen, they don't understand.
Yeah.
You get? And I keep telling them, it's not like we don't understand, it's maybe because the environment is, to that point, it is corrosive, or maybe people are yelling at each other, people are at different temperatures. So of course, when you're bringing in meaningful conversations and the environment is not okay, the outcome will really not be what you intended it to be. So again, look for the best time.
Yeah.
My husband taught me one thing. I keep reminding myself every day, not every punch, the way you can like punching somebody, not every punch deserves to be thrown. Not every. There are things you allow to slide. There are things, Caro, you need in life to allow to slide. So I think as a parent also, where you feel, and maybe slide in terms of time.
Yes.
Somebody is doing something at the wrong time, maybe look for a different time to correct it, not now, because that will bring conflict and you want to continue bringing conflict.
Right.
Allow it to slide, bring it up at a later time, so that at least also be mindful of that space. If you find your child is doing exams, and for instance, let me use this example, you found them watching porn, they already watched, can you allow them to finish the exam? They focus on it. After the exam, let's have a conversation, because even maybe at that point, you're gathering, data. You're calling Karo Chakua, what do I say? What do I do? You're calling Evelyn Sasa. You're decompressing, you're trying, but the wisdom is, I don't want to stress my child to this point because it will affect what they're doing.
Yeah.
So again, the wisdom of understanding other people.
Yeah.
That's
and,
really,
and I think even with that one for porn, even if they're not doing exams, there's just room for you to decompress, like you're saying, whether it's exam or just, because there has to be a stopgap where you are processing this, because there is so much that is going on in your mind, the guilt, the fear, the anger, the frustration, and all that. So just being able to step back again and taking your time.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, it's really important. But you see, of course, one of the things you can do is maybe say you can't use your computer or your phone at this particular time, because I think also you don't want to give them, you don't want to give them that extension of continuing that. But, and especially if you're a parent listening and you don't have the language, the approach, please call for help. Caro is here, I am here. Call so that you can have an approach, because when you have emotion, you will say things that you cannot retract. And that is really, really dangerous. You want to help your child to, there's a muscle called resilience. You have to keep building it. So avoid being, again, I don't keep saying people are being rude. I keep saying spicy, because you can be really spicy with your words. So I think those are tools that I've found really help. In your homes, create tech-free zones where people are not all the time behind the screens, because you see, even our homes nowadays, there's a Netflix, somebody's watching, it's not what I really want, can I be on TikTok, that one, like if it's mealtime, no phones in the bedrooms, according to the way your home looks like, create tech-free zones that you yourself, and you have to adhere, because you have to show example, but allow people to be in spaces where, okay, it is mealtime, we talk to each other, and those are the things that really build, as you say, the relationship. You build environments, you get to know what's happening with people. Those are the tools I teach.
Yes,
I know some take time, but
and again, we really just underline the importance that, yes, we're talking about tech, but the real deal here is in the relationship. And thank you for reminding us that. And I know, okay, fine. So in the context of a relationship, we're doing our best to build. Speak a little bit about the space of putting the controls and all those things that, that just help us understand what that space is. It beneficial? When should we do it? How do we go about it? And also, if you have any resources that you can provide, even on your website or something like that.
Yes. Wow. Controls is a double-edged sword. If you have young children, by all means, please put controls, and controls meaningfully. where I'll give an example of Netflix. You have this Netflix account. Parents' accounts must have passwords. Create accounts for your children, which are a little more restricted, because that is something you can do from the back end. Again, something I found very meaningful on Netflix is you can pick certain videos and movies that you don't want them coming to the feed of your child. Put them in the restricted list, and they will not show. I have done that severally because I'm like, I saw that one, I saw the thing of that one. No. So again, that is work, but it is not work that you can't do.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Gaming, the same. Now, when you allow your child to be on certain platforms in games, and this is across from young to even teenagers, enda tu kwa settings, funga direct messaging, so that if your children are playing, let them play in the open space where you can hear, they're not being told, create, go there, go there. And that should be an expectation that you voice, not talking to people on DMs. The time when they reach of age, which is 13 and above, and you feel as a parent, I want to allow them to be on social media, get to know who first they are interacting with on that social media. If possible, can they be on one social media platform at a time? Let them not go into all of them. And they'll be like, there are people on Snap who are not on WhatsApp, who are not on TikTok, who are not on Instagram.
And I want to meet them.
Agree. Yeah. Agree. Which one holds? And then at least now you have to be interested in the parental control. TikTok allows you to pair your account with your child's. You will not see their messages, but again, when they are of the right age, they don't have DM, so don't even worry about that. You're supposed to see what they are chatting on, like the chat, right? They chat, face value chat. They don't have DM, they don't have live, they can't access live, they can't go live. And what's the other thing? When they put their right ages, you can't. They're the ones who have to give you their links for them to be your friends. So nobody can search Karo Chakua if they're underage and find them. But if Karo gives Evelyn a link to be their friend, that is possible. So at least that is also a little bit more intentional. And then if you find like your child's algorithms are being skewered because you can pair your account with them, you can keep refreshing their feed. That is a very powerful tool.
How do
if
you
you're allowing them
refresh
to
a
be on
feed?
TikTok, there is a tool. I will give you a link where all those things are there. Even right now, you can do it's on the settings.
Okay.
You just say refresh. Just check, because my phone is on airplane mode. Just go to your settings on TikTok. And you will see on your top TikTok, yes.
Okay.
You can refresh your feeds so that your algorithm, it's like it erases what is there, you start afresh. Especially when you feel like what is there is not helping you anymore. Yeah, I think you can try and see.
How long it has taken me to get to TikTok, because I've been trying to stay away from it. So I got to
take your time.
Okay.
Settings, yes.
Settings and privacy.
Yeah. I believe it is setting and privacy, yes. Now you make me get out of airplane mode.
No, don't.
And go there. It's okay. I'll do it on the other phone that is not really.
All right.
There is settings and privacy.
Security.
It's not. No, it must be content preference. It must be content preference. Yes, it's content preference. Where you have filters, you can put filters for what you don't want to see. Can you see it?
Yes. Filter keywords.
Refresh your feed. Yes. Can you see refresh your feed?
Yes.
When you do that, you refresh your feed.
Thank you. Because I need, even for us adults, when you get too much, you've been maybe researching something, then you keep getting, and you really want to be done. You don't want to continue doing that.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. That's a very, very
you can mute.
one. Yeah.
Yes, if you find your children have friends that you shaky, you can mute so that they don't talk to your children. And you see, even there at content preference, you can manage topics, you can restrict, you can filter words, and you can refresh. Okay. So when you pair your child's and your account, those are things you have control over.
Yeah.
Where the balance is for parents is that we have to respect their privacy. And again, those are the things you have conversations around. Because sometimes when they start feeling like you're in their space, they're like, no, you're going to be reading my thing. Yeah. Again, privacy, respect, because even you would not want anybody getting into your DMs and whatever. So it's part of the conversations you have behind the screen. So yes, I do have on my website, and I'll send that link to you, where we questions which parents really, really ask. And it has those screenshots, it has step-by-step, especially if you really want to put controls and filters. Yes. But when it comes to children from, let me say, age 13 and above, don't over-rely on controls. Start having intentional conversations. Because what would happen, your child has an email, they can create pseudo emails. Yeah. You follow them on one platform, they can create other platforms. So they leave you with this very good one that you follow, and they're an angel. They have many other, they're doing all manner of things. Right. So when you have conversations with them around your digital footprint is always online. When you're applying for visa, you have to put your emails and your, you know what I mean? Yeah. You see, so they start becoming intentional with, hey, I posted that on live, I posted that on stories, it can go somewhere. You're having conversations, because especially issues of digital footprint, it's a huge thing. And with what the US Embassy did the other day, I think in May, where they said they're expanding how they're doing their due diligence, especially on social media, it will affect our children. And I always keep telling them, You might have done something because you felt, I'm a 13-year-old, I'm stupid, I can do what I want and get away with it. Somebody else might not see it that way. When you're looking for jobs, when you're looking for university placements, you want to just go visit. It will to make an impact. So you reduce more control as they grow, enhance the conversations, but controls are good. There's something that I realize parents are making a huge mistake. TVs, these TVs we buy that are smart, we put our emails. So everything I'm using on my Gmail is there. The algorithm of the house is list. So again, these are small things. When you're creating family shared devices, create a family email.
Email, not
So
your
that,
email.
yes, don't use yours. Don't use yours.
Right.
You're handing down a phone to your child because you've bought a new phone. Toa kila kitu. From your email, everything.
Yeah.
You sign out from your social media account so that now your child doesn't start accessing your social media account. Then when you're taking them to the one for kids, they're like, "Hey, this one looks different. I don't want this one."
Boring. Yeah.
Toa kila kitu. From gallery, what. Like, it's like you're, again, refreshing your phone so that, yes, hand it down to them, let them put there. And then also share your expectations as you're doing all these things.
Yes.
Of course, you can get to the point where you do contracts, because I know we have to have some of these agreements which we offer.
Yeah.
Then there was another thing that I saw. There's something that I saw that we find, when you go for family functions, many families, go shago, the same way you would say, in my home, you can't drink alcohol, for instance. But children are drinking alcohol from that one auntie or that one uncle who is a little loose, who is not very strict to these things. Adult phones are not for children's eyes. I'll say that again. Adult phones are not for children's eyes. I appreciate that not every parent can buy their child a phone. Should you find yourself in a space where you have to share your phone with your child, always sign out from your profiles. Sign out. Ukimpatia, hauja sign in. The reason is sometimes you lose moral authority, and you can attest to this. You're in groups where people send shady information.
Yeah.
Nimeenda kwa gallery. Or your child is just on your phone doing something, then they divert and start looking at what you're doing. They start seeing all the things you tell them. You can't do this, you can't do that. But because you're an adult, you think you can get away with it.
Right.
At that point, you're losing moral authority. I always tell people, if you think about it critically, those of us who drink, where did we learn drinking from? Nyumbani.
Yep.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And it is tough. It is hard. And I know my mom would probably see this video. It's fine. Many learn to drink home. And we have alcohol in our pantries. When we're in family functions, they will sip before they write, I like this one more than that one, So even unhealthy content, they learn it from us. They will see it in our phones. They will see it in their adults' phones before they get their own. And of course, when they're collaborating with their friends in the playground and everywhere, they'll start telling each other, I saw this, I saw that. Then they start experimenting. So adult phones are not for children's eyes. If you really feel like you have to pacify your child with phone, you're already losing it. You are losing it. Like, allow them to be bored. Allow yourself not to be on your phone so that they also don't feel like they need to be pacified with the phone. There are things we need to reset and change. But it takes a lot of intentionality. It takes a lot of work. Yeah. But believe me, you will see the fruits at some point. You will see the fruits at some point. Yeah, it's a lot of work, by the Caro. This is not easy.
And I think there is value in really acknowledging that we can do. You can't do this the easy way. There's no easy way to do this.
Oh, no, there's no shortcut. There is no shortcut.
Yeah. And I know you have so many resources on your website, and so many resources on social media pages. And definitely, as part of this summit, we have a resource section. And so everyone who's watching, everyone who's listening, you will find Evelyn's resources and contacts as part of the summit's resources. Thank you so much.
May I say something?
Yes, I wanted you to conclude.
Yes. So let me just say something in acknowledgement to parents who are parenting not under one roof.
Right.
There are certain things when it comes to, especially technology, because again, this is a tool. If you feel your partner or yourself is one of the people who, again, is enticing children with, at home, we're not told to do this at a certain time, but when they're on that other end, wanapatiwa. Have an agreement that mom and dad are the ones who are not together. It's not about the children. The children, when I'm parenting them and you're parent, we are co-parents. So what is beneficial in terms of eating clean, eating healthy meals, you know what I mean? The same things that are done in mommy's house should be done in daddy's house. And technology is one of those things. If people have a cut-off time to go to bed, in mommy's house, it should be on this other side. So agree on some of these things so that your children first don't see that conflict and they don't start seeing they want to be in someone else's house because huko hakuna rules, huko kuna rules. Because it also gives them a very huge conflict. And when they're making certain decisions, that's when they choose who to tell and who not to tell. When you agree on, I need to give this child a phone, can you first have consensus as the two parents? So that what is being done in mommy's house is not being contradicted on the other side. And I think that's it might be a hard conversation to have, but it's a very important conversation because, again, remember, the people who are not in a relationship anymore are here, not the ones who are below them.
Sure.
And in whatever you do, you have to show example.
Mm.
Because one of the things of like this particular holiday that I was teaching children is how to break friends. When you break friends, you have to break friends
And
sometimes.
yes.
And you know, friendships break sometimes, Carol. Like I put a boundary with you and it doesn't sit well with you, and you're like, you're not cool anymore. It's fine. It is okay. But there's a grieving process of I lost a friend, you know? And I think even us, because we are adults and we go through these things every day, we have to show our children the art of making friends, the art of losing friends, and the art of respect in that process. But when we are sisi wenyewe ndio tuna conflict huku juu na tunaacha vifaranga ziumie, they are not learning that skill. And I think it is something that I felt that I need to share in that space. Yes.
Very, very fundamental, very important. And it does, again, it's a lot of work. It takes a level of healing and maturity and intentionality for people to be on the same page. And on the flip side, I usually tell parents, if that is not working, remember you are the stable adult. You be the stable adult, and your children will still connect with the rules in your house. The things that you're doing from a consistent place, from an intentional place, they will stick, whether you see them now or not. And again, I think on top of that, however, if it's an issue of safety, and more, if you're saying it's not good for your child, it's an issue of safety, it is okay to go the legal way if your child's safety is at stake. You know, so
Absolutely.
that we're not fighting, we're just not fighting at this level too much. So we still have a lot of control, even when two people are not agreeing and are not on the same page. But I'm glad that you brought that up because it's very
thank you.
Yeah. So give us words of hope, words of encouragement
words
as
of hope.
because it can be a very hopeless space. So what words of hope do you have for us?
So maybe for parents who feel like they're losing it, especially with teenagers, if there's something a young person told me just yesterday, if you fail, try again. If it fails, try again. That's what they said. If it fails, try again. If one strategy fails, use a different one, or maybe try it in a different way. Yeah. If you have broken trust, think about a plate that has broken and you have to fix it. You probably might not fix it so that it becomes a usable plate in its original form, but you can fix it to become a work of art. So don't give up. Fix it. For those of never give up. I mean, you can't give up on your children. My mom tells me, you might be 38 years, but I'll never stop parenting you. So we are being parented. There is something about giving yourself grace because you didn't know, but when you do know, you can do things better. So give yourself grace. It's okay. I fumbled, I acknowledge. I know I fumbled. You can give yourself grace. So please give yourself grace. And in this space of IT, believe me, I don't think there's anything we've talked maybe towards the end that was really tech. A lot of things do not need you to be a technical person per se, but teaching your children the most fundamental things, we will not see. We will not see when you're crying. We will not see when you're sweating. We will not see when you're upset. But you're molding your child in a way where the fruits will be seen out there. And we shall celebrate you and we'll be like, hey, but that child is different. Mama yake ni nani? See mama yake ni nani in a bad way, the way we've always done it. But there is something to celebrate about how we do things behind the scene and we see the fruits of our children out there. And if you're that parent who never acknowledges your child, today, just try. Affirm them for something nice they've done. Affirm them for who they are, where they're struggling. Try and be positive in that struggle so that they also see how to get out of that struggle. And then try the roses and thorns. When you give people petals, and then they give you petals, even you start feeling nice. Mommy, thank you for making for us that meal.
Yeah.
But then they might not appreciate many things, but you took time out of your day, you went to the kitchen and made something. I mean, try those things. They're happy. But when you feel you don't have words, Carol is here. I am here. And I know through this seminar, you will find people who have pockets of information that you can rein in. So don't do it alone. I always say it takes a village. And I know sometimes these days, it doesn't feel like the village is there. It is. The village is there. I might be good in tech. Somebody else is good in something else. Please rope in onto all the resources Carol is giving us so that you can learn something, apply it. If it doesn't work, try it a different way. So if it fails, try again. That's my pattern.
Thank you. What better way to
You're welcome.
You have, when we started, you said, we hope that parents will have one or two. And I think we have 3 or 4 or 7 that we can actually.
I hope so.
They are very practical. And thank you for reminding us that at the end of the day, it's not the techie part, but it's the relationship part that is important. Thank you so much, Evelyn. And
you are welcome.
People will access your contacts and everything through the summit resources.
And thank you for making this happen. Like, I think now you are the resource because your life is bringing different resources. So I'm also happy to see all the people who will be sharing with us different things. so that I can also learn in
Yeah.
terms of mental health. I think we are the ones who need the first aid first
Right?
before others. But
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
thank
So
you so much for being who you are as well.
thank you so much again. You're welcome.